Welcome to the Morning Edition Extra. I'm Adelmi Ruiz, and this is the digital desk at Alaska's News Source. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and for starting off your day with Alaska's News Source. So starting us off this morning on the Morning Edition Extra, we have meteorologist Aaron Morrison who's going to explain what weather we're going to be having today as the middle of the week gets started. Aaron.
Well, thanks, Adelmi. We do have a first alert weather day in effect for the interior. This is where we could expect to see several inches of snow accumulation. Now, this is coming off of a weekend where we already saw up to a foot of snow accumulation, and we are expecting to see the potential for near double-digit inches once again later today and into our Thursday. Blowing snow and hazardous conditions will be a concern as well. You can see those winter weather advisories we saw yesterday. They have been upgraded to a winter storm warning, and we are going to see this continue through the end of this week. Again, 6 to 10 inches of snowfall looks possible for most locations within the winter storm warning, although heavier snow showers will lead to some isolated pockets of 12 to 15 inches in areas with those heavier snow. Now, if you live out towards Fort Yukon, Eagle Circle, and areas of the eastern interior, you may escape the day with just an inch or so of that snowfall accumulation. Heavy snow is not expected for you. Snowfall depth has been increasing through the interior, particularly since the start of the year. You can see that snowfall total has climbed from 20 inches to that depth now coming in at just under 30 inches with a maximum depth reached on February 16th. And again, we are waking up this morning, those temperatures sitting in the single digits. Just be careful on those roadways. It's the evening commute which will provide the more hazardous road conditions across the interior. That's why we're lifting it to a red as the evening commute does arrive, is that heavy snowfall up to a foot in some areas could lead to some treacherous travel conditions. Where that snow is already falling, many areas already warming into the single digits. You can see 8 in Nenana, 15 degrees in Denali, 11 below in Lost Creek. So we're still seeing some sub-zero values through the interior. Widespread snow has already built in and will stay with us throughout the day. And what we're going to be watching is as this snow builds east-southeast throughout the evening hours. You can see into the evening commute, we'll just see some isolated scattered activity. Things really dry out overnight into Thursday. And then we'll just hold on to some isolated scattered activity on the backside of that system from Thursday on into Friday. Today, though, is going to be the bigger story in terms of that snowfall accumulation. Once we clear out the system by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're talking about clearer and colder conditions returning to the interior. So be prepared. Several inches of that snow accumulation looks possible. And again, you can see eastern parts of the interior may escape the day with just an inch or so of that snowfall accumulation. It's the central interior, south towards the Alaska Range, and through the western interior where we're going to see several inches of that snowfall accumulation. So be prepared for that. It is a first alert weather day today. There's those colder conditions arriving on the backside of that system. Overnight lows dropping as cold as about 30 to 40 below in some of the coldest locations. And by this weekend, Adelmi, we could see highs near 5 below.
All right, thank you so much for that alert, Aaron. And a PFD worth $0. That's what you may have heard some political leaders say. That's what you'll be receiving this year. But when we asked lawmakers in charge of the issue, they say it's not true. This starts last week when the House Finance Committee took the governor's $3,600 PFD out of the budget. That step, which lawmakers in charge of the budget call normal, has happened 5 of the last 8 years. Finance leaders say Alaskans will get a dividend. They just need to discuss how much as they build the final budget. The House Committee chair says it's likely to be between $800 to $1,400. That after Alaskans received $1,000 last year. In a video posted Tuesday, the lieutenant governor accused, quote, Juneau Democrats of betraying Alaskans.
The PFD didn't really get zeroed, it got removed for later discussion. So in 5 of the last 8 fiscal years, this exact same thing happened. There are members who would prefer to start at 0.
We don't yet know exactly where the budget is going to take us, but I can tell you as a rural legislator, I'm aspiring for the most that we can get in the PFD this year, and it's got to meet affordability and sustainability sort of requirements.
Lawmakers say this will not be decided until the end of the session. We asked all 17 gubernatorial candidates, including Dahlstrom, about the claims the lieutenant governor has not returned comment. You can read the other responses on our website and in our mobile app. And 4 elementary schools are on the chopping block as the Anchorage School District stares down a $90 million deficit. Reporter Joe Allgood has the details from the school board meeting.
Closing several Anchorage schools was the biggest item of discussion at tonight's school board meeting after the Anchorage School District announced they would be considering closing 4 schools on Friday.
Well, I don't want my school to close.
I just hate to see everybody cry as soon as they get out of school on the last day.
After the abrupt announcement on Friday, hundreds, including students and parents of the 4 schools, appeared at Tuesday's meeting to advocate for their community.
Lucas is going into 5th grade next year. He's been with these teachers his entire school career.
Of the 4 elementary schools, Fire Lake and Lake Otis were both up for closure last fall before a vote to not close them. O'Malley and Campbell STEM are new additions to the list.
I really like the school, and it's the only STEM school in Alaska, and I don't want it shut down.
We have an awesome community put together, and they're all going to be dispersed into, wherever.
Other communities like nurses and art teachers were also represented well as the district looks to thin their ranks.
It's hard to find someone who has a 4-year undergrad in music and then also a 4-year undergrad in art, never mind a master's in music ed or art ed. And so I think it's going to be really difficult to find someone to teach both of those positions in one position.
While the district reiterated that these cuts or closures are necessary in a time of need.
It allows us to strengthen our academic levels of service. This proposal allows us to improve our operational efficiency. And lastly, this proposal will allow the district to generate short-term savings.
The Anchorage School Board is expected to make their final decision on next year's budget at a special meeting next week on February 24th. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
The Fairbanks North Star Borough is updating its 20-year plan and wants to know what you think. The plan guides the borough in its development going forward. Issues like land use, transportation, and economic development are all covered. A survey is now on the borough's website.
Maybe there's an item where you're like, hey, I understand that this is important in our community, but I don't necessarily feel like this is something that I want the government to be responsible for, but there's this nonprofit group that could do this. Or, hey, maybe we could approach it in this unique way. So offering kind of other ways to address issues.
The survey is open until the end of February. And a Fairbanks crime ring investigation is facing new questions in court as defense attorneys accuse state troopers of withholding critical evidence like photos. The case stems from a brutal October kidnapping and torture of a North Pole man. It led to 35 indicted charges against 6 people. That includes Katrina Gallegos, who appeared in court Tuesday. She was recently arrested on firearm theft warrants. Her defense counsel argued troopers failed to present all photos involved, which they say would prove she was not guilty.
This particular camera can store up to 20,000 photos on the cloud. So there may be a need for a discovery hearing with respect to Trooper Altapeter and Trooper McAfee because it appears that they have selectively decided which photographs, at least, that they collected.
A pretrial proceeding is set for March 26th. The actual trial is tentatively scheduled for late April. And artists from around the world are chipping, cutting, and carving up massive blocks of ice. It's all part of the World Ice Championships. Adrian Peterson went to check it out, the first competition, which began this week.
Ice Art Championships. Artists from as far as the Philippines are in the process of turning 2 or more tons of ice into spectacular creations.
The championships begin with the multi-block competition where teams of artists are working to make large and elaborate designs into a reality. It's all done with the help of heavy equipment that lays out large blocks of ice, each weighing around 4,000 pounds. Despite the size, the medium still comes with serious challenges.
It's a much more fragile medium, just under negative, like 10 is about a pretty solid temperature to work in, whether you're doing seams or just carving in general. The ice seems to, not be so fussy. But in other years, it's also been cracked because of earthquakes and all sorts of other things.
Conditions are a tad warm now, but for Knaus, it's the process and product that brings him back year after year. And sometimes that process begins long before the ice is ever formed.
Sometimes you take it up with a good team in a matter of weeks or months, but other times you've thought about this design for several years, and just a matter of getting the right people in place that want to do it and bring it all together that time.
While these teams won't have a complete piece until the end of this week, there are many more competitions yet to get underway. There are 4 more competitions following the multi-block, and the Youth Classic will end it all on March 13th. Adrian Peterson, Alaska's news source.
And some progress to report on the old Nordstrom building in downtown Anchorage. The LaFrance administration is introducing an ordinance to the assembly that would transfer the city-owned property to the Development Authority. More on that in a moment. Lauren Maxwell tells us about the building's history.
For more than 50 years, the Nordstrom department store was a highlight of downtown Anchorage that drew people to its doors.
It was fun, it was beautiful, it was fancy.
But in 2019, the company announced it was shutting down the store to concentrate on its online business and the profitable Nordstrom Rack stores. It was a sad day for many.
Where's everyone going to shop, they're wondering.
That years later still stings.
Yes, in fact, I was just giving someone a tour the other day, and I just looked at it with tears in my eyes, almost say that was our old Nordstrom. We used to have it, and now it's gone.
The fact that the building has sat vacant for so long has been an issue.
It makes us look like a rundown city
that city leaders say they want to fix.
It's our goal to turn that building into something that can be used.
The Anchorage Community Development Authority is eager to find a developer who can work on a plan.
Would most likely include housing, some sort of specialty retail.
They want this building to be more than a sad reminder of what was.
Well, it's there, and you always drive by it and you remember.
The hope is to bring new life back to this end of town.
And the ordinance was discussed at Tuesday's assembly meeting, where Mayor Suzanne LaFrance used part of her mayor's report to champion the proposal. LaFrance told Alaska's news source before the meeting that she viewed it as a, quote, really exciting step for revitalizing downtown, and echoed that sentiment later on.
This building was once a landmark of retail growth. Today, this vacant property represents a critical opportunity to reinvest in Anchorage's urban core. This transfer is an important step toward advancing a project to reimagine an iconic building and encouraging further economic development.
Further discussion of the ordinance was rescheduled to the assembly meeting on March 24th so that the Downtown Community Council could discuss it at their meeting on March 4th. And leaders in Alaska are pledging to keep hope alive and continue the work of the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, who marched alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His family says Jackson died peacefully on Tuesday morning, surrounded by loved ones at the age of 84. Augusta McDonald has more on his impact in Alaska.
My constituency is the desperate, the damned, the disinherited.
In the 80s, Reverend Jesse Jackson ran for president twice.
His presidential campaigns of 84 and 88 were influential in how he conducted a campaign to really bring people who were locked out and left out.
Democratic Party voters in Alaska selected Jackson in the 1988 precinct caucuses.
Keep hope alive.
It meant hope for so many people.
CEO of the Alaska Black Caucus, Celeste Hodge Groden, said support for Jackson's Rainbow Coalition was made clear by Alaska's support for his second presidential campaign. Now she says it's time to carry Jackson's legacy forward.
One thing we really need to do a better job of is getting our folks interested in the vote, getting them participating in the process, getting our people registered, and making sure that they're educated on the issues, and then finally making sure that they vote.
Hope lies in us.
Pastor Undra Parker of Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church in Anchorage said Jackson influenced him personally.
He's left marching orders. He's left a movement. He's left footprints that if we don't know how to make footprints, we can step in his and start our own from there. We can move forward and keep this dream alive that we can have rights that affect everybody for good.
Augusta McDonald, Alaska's News Source.
And with that, we will be right back after a very short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about what talks are happening in the government right now, what is happening, what talks are going on that you need to know, what is being discussed. We're also going to talk about the DCA crash. There was a final report that we're going to dive into. We're also going to talk about those smart doorbells that I mentioned in the morning edition. Those smart doorbells that are causing concerns. They're causing people to worry about where their videos and where their surveillance footage is going to. So we're going to talk about that, where it's going and the concerns that people have, and also a kidnapping. A woman narrowly escapes what appears to be a kidnapping in the lower 48, and we're going to look at that dramatic escape and what happens now. So stick with this. We'll be right back. Welcome back in. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Progress is being made. That comes from U.S. officials after another round of nuclear talks with Iran. Iranian officials echoed the sentiment, but both sides say more work must be done to stave off any potential military action. At the same time, U.S. negotiations are in Geneva again today for a second day of talks aiming to bring an end to Russia's war on Ukraine. Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
Negotiators back at the table for a second day of talks between Russia and Ukraine. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff writing day one of U.S. mediated discussions yielded meaningful progress toward a peace deal, 1 week before the 4-year mark of Russia's full-scale invasion. Ahead of the talks, President Trump urged Ukraine to compromise.
Ukraine better come to the table fast.
While a pair of Democratic senators traveled to Kyiv pressing for ironclad security guarantees against future Russian attacks.
Ukraine needs and deserves a guarantee from the United States, not just European powers.
Witkoff and the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, also joining negotiations Tuesday on a deal to curb Iran's nuclear program. The top Iranian diplomat citing good progress on the path toward an agreement, but cautioning they will not reach it quickly, while Vice President J.D. Vance pointed to roadblocks.
The president has set some red lines that the Iranians are not yet willing to actually acknowledge and work through. So we're going to keep on working it.
President Trump has signaled military action is an option if there's no deal to guarantee Iran won't get a nuclear weapon. The president ordered a second U.S. aircraft carrier to the region before the negotiations and suggested regime change might be the best thing that could happen. Iran has threatened retaliation for any attack, and the supreme leader now says any attempt to take down his government would fail. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And the National Transportation Safety Board has released its final report on that horrific mid-air crash in Washington, D.C. Here are those details. The crash happened in late January of 2025 when an Army Black Hawk helicopter crashed into an American Airlines regional jet that was en approach to Reagan National Airport. According to the NTSB, a host of issues determined the probable cause for the mid-air collision that killed all 67 people on board. Factors include placement of flight paths in close proximity to one another, over-reliance on visual separation in a high-density environment, and limitations of traffic awareness and collision alerting systems. The Federal Aviation Administration has since restricted chopper flights around DCA and says it's evaluating other potential safety risks nationwide. Dozens of recommendations are going out to agencies across the nation. And privacy concerns around video surveillance and artificial intelligence. It's a topic that's getting a lot of attention as a Super Bowl ad for Amazon's Ring doorbell and its search party feature, which uses AI to help find lost dogs. Some say it's a great way to track and locate our furry friends, but others are sounding the alarm on unwanted surveillance. Michael Yoshida breaks it all down for us.
It's a Super Bowl ad that had some throwing a flag.
I saw it live, and it was one of those, uh-oh moments.
Ring, the Amazon-owned video door company, promoting its search party feature.
One post of a dog's photo in the Ring app starts outdoor cameras looking for a match. Search Party from Ring uses AI to help families find lost dogs.
It should be heartwarming, but a lot of people are reading something very sinister into it.
Ring hasn't been accused of any wrongdoing, but the ad did spark conversations around unwanted surveillance, AI going through and analyzing videos, and how the technology could potentially be used.
There's absolutely...
Why is a Ring competitor even putting out this satire video, highlighting privacy worries and public distrust?
We could find literally anyone, but we only use this technology to find lost dogs.
A lot of this is people speculating about how the technology could be used in the future by a bad actor, rather than necessarily bad behavior that's happening right now.
Ring's founder says the company prioritizes customer privacy, and the application's use is limited.
Right now, the search party feature is literally just built for dogs. So it's built to look for dogs, to tell you if the dog is in front of your house, and then you have the decision to, contact the owner or not.
But experts say concerns over what comes next shouldn't be dismissed.
These technologies are getting so advanced and so sophisticated, we can't just ignore the implications and the risks.
These same things that are treated as privacy risks for some people are actually kind of a feature.
In Washington, Michael Yoshida.
A 53-year-old man is charged with trying to kidnap a woman in Lower 48. She is safe after a dramatic escape that was caught on camera. Kalea Gunderson has that video and an account from someone who helped save the victim.
The lady came busting in the door. Her hair was all messed up, like it looked like someone had been pulling on it. Her shirt was ripped. There was blood down her face. Her pants were ripped. She didn't have shoes on. And she kept like repeating, screaming, like, I've been kidnapped. He tried to kidnap me.
Just seconds before that, the external cameras captured the U-Haul the woman was in with the suspect, Kenneth Clark, who she told police was her ex-boyfriend. It was stopped at the intersection of West Cunningham Street and Pillow Street. The woman gets out of the car and runs into the business, later telling police Clark was holding scissors to her while in the U-Haul, then stabbed her with them as she escaped. The woman working inside got her to a back room, then confronted Clark when he came in after her.
He came in and it was terrifying. He kept yelling at me and I kept charging towards him, like to try to like walk him back out the door. Like I didn't know what he was capable of. All I knew was like this girl was battered, bloody, sitting in my back room.
In addition to kidnapping, Clark is charged with aggravated assault, strangulation, and terroristic threats. And now we have our own John Thompson, who's speaking with our Washington correspondent Emma Wolfers. They're talking about the funding battle over the Department of Homeland Security. They're talking about whether there is an end in sight. And civil rights and political giant Jesse Jackson, who we just talked about his passing, they're talking about that. Also talking about an alleged 3 more drug boats that were striked and a couple of people, or 11 people, were killed. So they're going to be talking about those topics. So here we go.
Well, we are still in a partial government shutdown as the funding battle over the Department of Homeland Security continues. Alaska's news source Washington correspondent Emma Wolfers joining us now from D.C. Emma, is there an end in sight?
Not right now, John. Monday evening, Senate Democrats delivered another counteroffer to the White House and Republicans. Tuesday, a White House official said the parties were still pretty far apart. The White House does plan to continue negotiations and wants to try and seek to end the shutdown. Democrats, though, are still dug in on their ICE reform demands. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries say Republicans have largely ignored the core guardrails that they're seeking and that they are negotiating in good faith and want Republicans to do the same. Most of the more than 270,000 people employed by DHS across the various agencies are still working, but are doing so without pay. As we've been discussing over the past few days, Congress is on recess, both chambers, until February 23rd, next Monday. So while it's good news that negotiations are continuing during the recess, both parties seem nowhere close to actually striking a funding deal.
Well, civil rights and political giant Jesse Jackson passed away at the age of 84. Emma, how is Jackson being remembered?
A lot of bipartisan support and remembrance of who he was and his impact in politics and the country. President Trump called Jackson a good man with lots of personality, grit, and street smarts. The president also described Jackson as, quote, very gregarious, someone who truly loved people, end quote. Trump went on to share multiple photos on social media as well, showing himself with Jackson at multiple events throughout what appeared to be the 1980s and 90s. House Minority Leader Jeffries said Jackson was, quote, a legendary voice for the voiceless, powerful civil rights champion and trailblazer extraordinaire. May he forever rest in power, end quote. Jackson was ordained as a reverend in 1968. In addition to activism, he sought the presidential Democratic nominations in both 1984 and 88. He then went on to serve in Congress as the shadow senator for Washington, D.C. from 1991 to 1997. In 2017, Jackson was diagnosed with Parkinson's. He's survived by his wife, Jacqueline, and 6 children.
Well, Emma, finally tonight, the U.S. has announced strikes on 3 more alleged drug boats in Latin America, killing 11 people. What more can you tell us there?
John, the military says it struck 2 boats in the eastern Pacific Ocean and 1 in the Caribbean Sea late last week. 4 people were killed on each of the boats in the Pacific and 3 in the Caribbean. U.S. Southern Command claims its intelligence confirmed those on these boats were drug traffickers, but the military did not provide any evidence the vessels were actually carrying drugs. They did post videos showing the boats being destroyed. This is the latest in what is now a months-long series of strikes. We now know that in total they've killed at least 133 people on more than 40 boats.
Alaska's news source, Washington correspondent Emma Wolforce joining us from D.C. Emma, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
And Remek was down, but now it is up. That was John Thompson, our very own, with our Washington correspondent Emma Wolforce and their discussion. When we come back from this very short break, we're going to be having a Watching Your Wallet about student loan forgiveness and what that means, how you can achieve student loan forgiveness. And we're going to be talking about traveling and, and women deciding to travel on their own, the reasons why, and why that is a trend that's spiking up recently. And we're going to be talking about boneless wings. So stick with us. We have some very interesting stories ahead. Welcome back in. Thank you so much for sticking with us on this Morning Edition Extra on this Wednesday. So there could be an unexpected expense this year if you thought your student loans were forgiven. Starting in January, certain types of student loan forgiveness may be taxable again. Consumer investigator Rachel DePompa explains what you need to know in this Watching Your Wallet.
A change in the tax policy for 2026 has created some confusion over how some forms of student loan forgiveness could be taxed. Robert Farrington, the founder of the College Investor, says from 2021 to December 31st of 2025, the American Rescue Plan Act made all student loan forgiveness tax-free. That changed this year, starting January 1st. Certain types of student loan forgiveness are now taxable.
And this is where it gets confusing because the type of student loan forgiveness is what makes the difference. There are certain types of student loan forgiveness, like public service loan forgiveness, teacher loan forgiveness, death and disability discharge, and borrower defense to repayment, that are always tax-free. And this is by law.
Barrington says other types of student loan forgiveness, such as those related to income-driven repayment plans, as well as certain closed schools, may be taxable. And he says there might be state tax rules to follow. He says the key is to understand what you're getting your student loan forgiven for.
For those that are tax-free, such as public service loan forgiveness, you really don't have to worry. However, if you are part of an income-driven repayment plan, and that is how you're getting student loan forgiveness, you really need to start planning. Now, some people that might face a tax liability actually won't because of complex tax rules like insolvency, and so there are still a lot of exceptions to this.
Barrington says the bottom line is you need to start planning. Maybe putting a little bit in your savings account because you could have an unexpected tax bill as a result of your student loan forgiveness. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
And more women are deciding to travel by themselves. 1% report from Grandview Research. One recent report from Grandview Research finds women make up over 2/3 of solo travelers around the world. In today's Travel Tuesday on a Wednesday, news correspondent Wendy Gillette reports on the trend from Scottsdale, Arizona.
The Fairmont Scottsdale Princess offers a cozy Arizona escape for travelers who prefer secluded time alone. Private villas with fireplaces and balconies overlooking desert flora right near the Sisley Paris Spa within a spa, a big draw for women who want a more exclusive experience. Miles away at the JW Marriott Scottsdale Camelback, one of those where we stayed for a special rate, the spa just underwent a $26 million renovation, including a hot and cold wellness circuit and zero-gravity chairs that utilize vibration and sound wave therapy to encourage relaxation.
We feel that the spa will be a draw for women travelers to this market.
Capturing solo women travelers is big business. Grandview Research finds the segment generated over $262 million in revenue in 2024, expected to reach almost $600 million by 2030.
Also in Scottsdale, Savannah Wellness Resort and Spa estimates almost 1/3 of its guests are women traveling by themselves.
I think they're coming to us because they want to travel alone. But they don't want to feel lonely.
Jennifer Klaus from Missoula, Montana will be back in May. Her 6th visit to the resort, almost all of them by herself. She says solo stays prioritize her needs.
Even if you travel really well with somebody, there's always that part that is worried about what is the other person experiencing or what are they wanting to experience.
Experiences at Savannah include days filled with all types of classes, spa appointments, and even trying out a ropes course.
That's it, yes, you got it.
Starting at the bottom and quickly climbing high, a challenge only tackled alone. Wendy Gillette, CBS News, Scottsdale, Arizona.
That recent survey from Grandview Research also finds the #1 reason women are traveling by themselves is prioritizing freedom in their itineraries. And snow and frigid temperatures may have put a damper on home sales in January. Salmon products have been recalled in 7 states over concerns of listeria contamination. Jesse Mitchell has the latest business headlines from New York.
Sales of existing homes in the U.S. fell by more than 8% in January, month over month. That's according to the National Association of Realtors, which said the winter weather may be partially to blame for the dip. This comes as Realtor.com reports home builders are also slashing their prices, with 1 in 5 new homes discounted in late 2025. 2-pound bags of Wellesley Farms farm-raised Atlantic salmon sold by BJ's Wholesale Club stores have been recalled due to potential listeria contamination. The recall affects only lot number 3896, which was sold in 7 East Coast states. BJ's is reaching out to members who may have purchased the product. There's also a 1-800 number on the Food and Drug Administration's website that consumers can call to find out how to get a refund. And Americans are expected to spend a record $29 billion to celebrate Valentine's Day this weekend. But Krispy Kreme is hoping donut lovers will also stop by today to mark Friday the 13th. 13,000 customers could receive a coupon for a free dozen original glazed donuts during their store visit. Plus, Krispy Kreme still has its limited edition Valentine's Day flavors through tomorrow. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
And a federal judge has ruled that Buffalo Wild Wings can keep the name boneless wings on its menu, rejecting a lawsuit that claimed the item is misleading. In a 10-page decision, U.S. District Judge John Tharp Jr. said the sports bar chain can continue using the term even though the product is essentially chicken nuggets. And that's a quote. The lawsuit was filed in 2023 by Chicago area resident Eamon Hallam, who argued that the name led reasonable customers to believe the item was deboned chicken wings made entirely from wing meat. After learning the item is made from slices of chicken breast that are breaded and fried, he argued he would not have bought them or would have paid less. He alleged financial harm due to what he called deceptive marketing, but the judge ultimately ruled the plaintiff failed to provide enough evidence to support the claim, allowing the popular menu item to keep its name. And Wendy's Thin Mint Frosty is now available nationwide with 2 crave-worthy ways for fans to treat themselves this season. As a licensed partner of Girl Scouts of the USA, Wendy's is bringing back the beloved Thin Mints Frosty Swirl and introducing an all-new Thin Mints Frosty Fusion. Both options blend the classic taste of Thin Mints with the cool, creamy Frosty and are also available with a chocolate Frosty base. That looks very delicious. And when we come back, we'll be talking about the cost of beauty. This was a story that if you were watching the Morning Edition Extra yesterday, you did see one version, one story. This is a part 2 of that story. And we're going to be diving into that. And we're going to be talking about lymphatic drainage, what it is, what it means, and how it can help you. And then we're going to be talking about more about what to do about keeping healthy and staying healthy this season. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back in. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Hairstylists and nail techs spend hours a day in the salon, oftentimes breathing in dangerous chemicals. National investigative reporter Carice Jackman combs through years of complaints and examines the impacts of potentially toxic hair straighteners from the people behind the chair, particularly in Black hair salons.
I like it more for the moisturizer because it keeps the hair from drying out.
For 35 years, Georgie Golden knew the ins and outs of the salon.
And you knew that when you was done, man, I looked like $1 million. And I didn't even have to go buy the rest here.
She remembers when the biggest sellers were relaxers.
When you heard about that study, what did you think?
My first thought was, that really couldn't be us. That was my first thought because I didn't know anyone who had. And then as I started reading more, and then as we as women going in the salon and we're talking and we're saying, well, you know, Susan got cancer. Wait a minute. How? What kind? You know, or you hear someone say, oh yeah, Michael got cancer. You know, he was a stylist. And he was like, really?
What she read was a 2022 sister study, research led by the National Institutes of Health that showed a correlation between formaldehyde and uterine cancer after following women for almost 11 years.
No one ever said, hey, this is not good for you. Even though you know formaldehyde is used for embalming.
Georgie herself has had health problems over the years that she's wondered about. After developing polyps, she had a hysterectomy.
When were you diagnosed? And it's lung cancer, correct?
Yes. This past April, I was diagnosed.
Lung cancer, which has been associated with some chemicals used in nail and hair salons.
I forego drinking, I forego smoking, and then I became sick and I wound up with cancer. And I was like, I didn't do anything. How did this happen? And then had to start going back through the times. Yeah, I did nails. Formaldehyde was right there.
Our national investigative team wanted to examine how hairstylists and employees in hair salons are impacted by the chemicals they're breathing in. We asked the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, for a copy of all complaints submitted to the agency about formaldehyde dangers affecting hair salon owners and workers over the past 5 years. We received 40 complaints from across the country and noticed a pattern coast to coast. Several owners and employees complained about the lack of ventilation within their salons. Some expressing concerns about not having safety data sheets about those chemicals. Concerns Georgie says even the inspectors that visited her salon didn't pick up on.
And never once did an inspector say, what we're breathing in is toxic.
Not once.
One OSHA hazard alert showed it investigated a series of Brazilian blowout products, finding some were listed as formaldehyde-free. But on-site testing showed they indeed found formaldehyde in the air.
These chemicals in these hair relaxers have proven to be dangerous.
Congresswoman Shontel Brown and some other lawmakers are not only calling on the FDA to ban chemical hair products like formaldehyde, but are also pushing for additional legislation to study uterine cancer and other illnesses related to chemical hair straighteners.
We want people to be able to beautify themselves without worrying about if this is going to give me any adverse health effects.
On a state level, California, Washington, and Maryland have banned or restricted formaldehyde in cosmetics.
We have women in every state, right? We make up 51% of the population, so this shouldn't be a controversial thing, but we definitely, given the number of people who are impacted by it, should have more resources put into researching this.
Back at home, Georgie is retired and doing her best to stay healthy.
We as women of color, we want to have the image that they have said we should have. And as they said, beauty costs, and we are paying the cost for that beauty.
Health experts say if you have any concerns as a hair salon owner and stylist, you can report your concerns to OSHA. The number is 1-800-321-OSHA. That is 1-800-321-OSHA. And we all want to live well. And while many of us focus on diet and exercise, lymphatic health is just as important and is closely linked to both. Tisha Powell has a look at how lymphatic drainage massages can help your body in today's Aging Untold Extra.
Take a deep breath into your belly. It might look like a relaxing massage, but this specialized process is actually helping the body reduce swelling and improve circulation. Lymphatic drainage is a technique that focuses on the fluid running just under your skin. Aging Untold expert Dr. Ray Rogers explains how the lymphatic system is an important part of our circulatory system.
Well, it's really important because you're used to blood flow taking things to all different parts of the body, but the lymphatics is how you actually gather up and clear out toxins in that, and it doesn't have its own pump.
And for breast cancer survivors, this type of treatment can offer some much-needed relief.
So the radiation, all that causes scarring and all that, so you don't get drainage in that area.
Expectant mothers like Lindsay Garrod are also good candidates.
It's such a gentle technique. I think I wasn't really sure going into it what exactly it would entail, and it just sort of feels like the most gentle massage you've ever had, but the results are absolutely incredible.
So for pregnant women, you have a whole different physiology that's going on, basically. You know how women, when they're pregnant, they're early on and they get dizzy when they change positions and all that? It's because the blood flow doesn't catch up with the heart.
While hydration, movement, and a healthy diet all support our lymphatic system, a little help,
thanks, Lindsay,
might just be what your body needs. Tisha Powell, Alaska's news source.
Aging Untold is a brand new talk show and premieres right here on KTUU on March 2nd at 4:30 p.m. So that's March 2nd at KTUU, March 2nd. And it remains the leading cause of cancer deaths in the U.S. Lung cancer kills hundreds of people every single day, and that's according to the American Lung Association. While there are more survivors than ever, there's still a lot that needs to be done to reduce the toll this disease takes on Americans. In this Health Minute, Mandy Gaither explains why experts say this disease remains the deadliest cancer despite advances in detection and treatment.
For those at high risk, early detection of lung cancer through a low-dose CT scan can reduce the risk of dying by at least 20%.
Early stage screen detected lung cancer has a 90% chance of being cured. I'll say it again. That means 90% of patients are alive and disease-free 5 years out from their diagnosis of lung cancer if we can detect their lung cancer at stage 1 through screening.
Dr. Andrea McKee with the American Lung Association says candidates for lung cancer screening are smokers between the ages of 50 and 80 with a 20-pack year history, meaning 1 pack a day for 20 years or 2 packs a day for 10 years. If you're a current smoker or quit within the last 15 years, screening is also suggested.
A lot of physicians aren't completely aware of the new recommendations, and many patients aren't aware of the new recommendations.
Which may be one reason why fewer than 1 in 5 of those eligible for lung cancer screening actually get it. McKee says that while CT scans have been around for decades, the technology to detect early lung cancer is relatively new, so lack of awareness may be another problem. That's why the organization launched a website called Saved by the Scan, where anyone can take a quiz to see if they should get a screening.
If you're at risk for lung cancer, talk to your doctor about getting screened.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The American Lung Association website with the lung cancer screening test and the eligibility quiz can be found at savedbythescan.org. And we'll be right back after this very short break. When we return, we'll be talking about Iron Dog. We'll get a count for the Olympic medals, what the standings are as of earlier this morning. We're going to be talking about ice caves, which will be interesting, and crippled pickles. So if you like pickles, if that intrigues you at all, stick with us because we'll have those fun stories and more when we come back. Welcome back, Erin. Thank you so much for sticking with us. There is no place like Nome, especially when it serves as shelter and relief from extreme weather. The Iron Dog, the world's longest, toughest snow machine race, is living up to the slogan this year. The race put on hold as storms hit the West Coast. Tyler Lane has more from Nome.
Conditions here in Nome, not as bad as what we witnessed here Monday night. Those blizzard conditions going away, sun poking out when it can, and the ravens soaring through the sky as they do. And the hope now is that those pro-class racers on the Iron Dog Trail get to experience these conditions in the not-too-distant future. Racers and their sleds are currently waiting through a mandatory hold until 6 a.m. Wednesday morning in Kotzebue. That decision made by Iron Dog race officials due to weather conditions along the course. That action will also affect Wrench Day here in Nome. Racers are expected to arrive here at the City Garage Wednesday afternoon, with Wrench Day taking place the following day on Thursday. That'll be the time they can rest up, fix gear, and take a well-deserved break from what expedition riders and race staff say were some, let's just say, less than ideal scenarios.
Just following the person in front of you, going from stake to stake along the trail. So visibility's been a real challenge.
Yeah, it's just a relief to finally see civilization and be here.
We lost the trail and started getting stuck, and
luckily we were able to get out of it, and right when we did, the guys from Golovin showed up and helped rescue the other team that was in trouble, and I just can't say enough good things about them. They're amazing people.
Total whiteout. You couldn't see a headlight.
Pretty much every rider I talked to has said it's like putting a bucket over your head. Probably no visibility for most of this race so far, but they're pushing through, and some of these guys are making some amazing times.
Tyler Lane, Alaska's news source.
The race is officially up to 9 scratches, 21 teams still powering through, a race that has put both human and machine to the test. Continue to follow us at Alaska's news source for more and for the latest on the Iron Dog race. And while we're on the topic of winter games, races, and sports, let's check in on the 2026 Winter Olympics medal count total and see where that's at. Let's see if I can. Oops, 1 second while I pull up that. There we go. So Norway continues to run away with the top spot overall, leading in both gold medals and with 14 and overall medal count with 31. The U.S. still sitting in third, trailing host nation Italy, holding 6 gold medals and 21 total. So host nation Italy has 9 gold, 4 silver, 11 bronze. Norway leading with the most medals with 14 gold. And it's a sight to behold. It's a sight to behold. It's a rare and majestic winter wonderland in northern Wisconsin. Unfortunately, weather has made exploring the caves impossible, but despite being open for only 1 day on the 16th of February, here's a look at the majesty that is the Apostle Islands Ice Caves.
This is the increasingly rare sight that thousands are flocking here to see.
This is one of a kind. I mean, everything up here is so gorgeous between the islands and the caves and things like that, but this is spectacular. This is one of those things that it's hard to ever imagine what they're like.
Streams of people flowed from cave to cave all day on Monday, the rarity of the phenomenon creating a sense of urgency and excitement.
Thought, you got to go out and see it again. It might be 10 years again before we see this again.
The ice formations made by waves and freezing conditions create a natural playground for children to explore.
There's like little caves that you could walk through, and at the end there's a little light, and it's really cool.
And inspire childlike wonder in everyone.
There's so many caves that you can just go straight through from one cave to another cave, and it's just Narnia, like you're in a different world. It's amazing.
Access to the caves depends on sustained cold temperatures, calm winds, and stable ice, conditions that are becoming increasingly rare. Many visitors driving for hours and then waiting in shuttle lines of upwards of 3 hours for what could be their only chance to see the cave.
It is such a wonderful thing to come and see, and once in a lifetime opportunity for many people. But as you continue to walk and you pass more and more people, or like the shuttle lines, you truly understand like how big of a deal this is.
Park officials stress conditions can change rapidly, so visitors should be sure to check the park's website for updates. In the Apostle Islands Ice Caves, Sophia Lauber.
And true love often feels like fate, but for one couple, it's a fact woven into the fabric of their very beginning. Their lives have been intertwined since day one. Chad Pline introduces us to the couple from Missouri destined to be together.
Inside of Crane High School, home of the Pirates, they would be scavenging through decades of student pictures are Principal Tara Meese and science teacher Karen Fawcett.
Here's Braden. Yep, this is Braden.
Their own children, Braden Fawcett and Lorene Meese, are included in the pictures. Kind of a big year coming up. What's going on?
Our kids are getting married. Yeah.
So it's not out of the ordinary for high school sweethearts to get married. It's also not too unusual that both of their moms also graduated from the same school.
You're going to the ball games tonight, of course.
So what is so unusual about this love story?
I was born on July 7th, 2006.
Braden, when were you born?
July 7th, 2006.
Who's older?
Me.
Do you play that card a lot, that you're the older one?
No, but he does.
Really? Yep. Lorene and Braden were born on the same day, minutes apart, in the same hospital, by the same doctor.
When I got to the hospital, they were like, we're going to have to try and delay. He's in a C-section right now.
They'd gotten her out, and a nurse stuck her head in the door and said, Dr. Ting, those twins are coming right now.
He came rushing in, and immediately they performed my C-section.
Then found out later that it was the Fawcett boys that Karen was in the hospital.
And so then we put it together that I had interrupted Lorraine's delivery.
Doing the math, the odds of a couple being born on the same day, minutes apart, in the same hospital, by the same doctor, is a 1 in 514 billion chance.
So yeah, this is the baby book my mom had. She wrote, "Mommy's friend Karen Fawcett had twin boys on the same day I was born."
What do you think about that?
Just crazy. I mean, we were around each other a little bit as kids because our moms were friends from high school, but him and Kaylin never wanted me to hang around with them.
For some reason, I never remember hanging out with her, but I guess from what she tells me, me and my brother always told her it was our birthday and not hers.
Yeah.
They started dating after their 16th birthday and haven't looked back, with Braden popping the question earlier this year on a piece of land where one day they will build a home and live happily ever after.
I just feel like it is so important to find someone who's like truly like your best friend. I mean, we'll be joking around sometimes, and then I'll just kind of sit there and I was like, wow. I was like, we're gonna get married. Like, we're gonna get to spend the rest of our lives together.
She always says it's like we're just best friends. And I said, well, there's nothing wrong with that.
That was Chad Pline reporting. Laureen and Braden are not getting married on their birthday. In fact, they say they don't want a summer wedding. They will tie the knot on October 3rd. And a Pennsylvania man is finding a new purpose after a life-changing injury through the power of pickles. You heard that right, the power of pickles. So Nick Ladonisi put together this piece highlighting how powerful these pickles actually are.
Mr. Buck Buchanan is no stranger to pickleball, and while today may be his 93rd birthday, he's not slowing down.
I tell all my family, my friends, you got to keep your wheels on you. You got to keep your wheels on you. Once you can't get around, you're really going to go downhill in a handbasket.
His love of the sport stems from competing in the Senior Olympics for badminton, and after a knee replacement, he wanted to find a way to get back on the court, but this time in a different way. Now he's sharing that love with City Heights Methodist Church, teaching anyone who wants to learn.
Able to continue, hold a pretty good crowd here at City Heights, and really been proud of the outreach program that we've provided for people here in the community. Yeah.
And with over 25 years of experience, he says not only does this give him a reason to keep going, but he's seen the sport save others.
Other people have problems. I had one guy that lost his wife and was ready to commit suicide. He was so depressed. He read in the paper this article about pickleball, and his curiosity drove him to finding out more about it. When I met him three months later, he was one happy soul.
He says staying active has been the key to his long life, and he believes there is a bigger purpose into why he's still able to step on the court.
I've been on the edge all my life. I've been thrown off of a horse 5 times trying to break it. I've wrecked 3 motorcycles, 2 Cushman scooters, and a VW. And I was lucky to live through any of it. The Lord has got me here for a reason, but I know I'm bringing an awful lot of joy to a lot of people over the past 25 years.
And here's a lesson in patience and dedication. 22 years worth of both. That's how long it took one Ohio man's luck to change. He played the same 6 numbers in the state lotto every week. The Akron man even had friends buy the tickets for him when he went out of town. Earlier this month, it all paid off. He hit the jackpot. A $3.5 million jackpot, to be exact. Upon seeing the winning numbers, he says he yelled to his wife, "We're going to get a really big pool." As to why he never gave up, the man didn't cite faith or tenacity. He says he's just stubborn. And check this out. A bald eagle was found floating on the ice in the middle of the Hudson River, injured and unable to fly. NYPD harbor officers shared their body camera footage of the rescue getting the eagle off the ice, into the boat, and into a safe space where the bird could warm up. Officers said the eagle never attempted to flee and showed signs of a wing injury. They transported it swiftly to a New Jersey animal sanctuary for treatment, where hopefully it will make a full recovery before being released back into the wild. Oh, well, I'm so glad they were able to rescue the poor eagle, and wishing the eagle a very swift and quick, healthy, full recovery. Now, this feels a little off the mark. It would be better if it landed on a Friday, but some people work different schedules, and maybe this is someone's Friday, in which case it's National Drink Wine Day. So you can grab a bottle and a glass, sit back and relax with your favorite wine. Wine is one of the oldest drinks, tracing its origins back to around 9000 BC, but perhaps not where you would guess, but in China. It was a bit different back then, of course, but had circled the globe and had fairly universally known beverage at this point, no matter where you are. And finally, Tuesday was Mardi Gras. Tuesday, yesterday, the 17th, was Mardi Gras. The Crew of Rex parade rolled through the streets of New Orleans on Tuesday. Now, H. Merritt Lane III is this year's 2026 King of the Carnival. He has worked with many nonprofit groups and has earned a long list of awards, actually. And Kelsey Grace French is this year's Queen. French is a finance major at the Neely School of Business at Texas Christian University. And this is the parade. This is part of the Mardi Gras parade, the festivities that were happening in New Orleans yesterday. And there were quite a few things that were happening yesterday. There was also the Lunar New Year, and a couple other celebrations were being had. Very fun, very festive. And that wraps up the Morning Edition Extra this Wednesday morning. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for starting off your morning with Alaska's news source. So catch us again tomorrow morning on the Morning Edition Extra, and we'll see you here at noon for the latest in news, weather, and more. Have a good day.